Good evening, good afternoon actually. I'm giving this video from Kolkata, and this video is about clarity on our subject. Okay. Now, I am a social worker, and most of the projects which we have done on sustainability have been my work of my hands. And uh, so now the issue has risen that we cannot do any more work till we have our home, right? And there have been some third party, second party gangs. We need them removed. We don't want them in our story, and they were never there. And what they would do is, one particular incident is that I had raised 14,000 rupees uh, to reach Delhi, and that was so that I could meet the late Devendra Rana, former, uh, politician. And may his soul rest in peace. But I wrote a letter, an email, and then I raised the money, and I reached Delhi. And I didn't have when I reached my purse. Somebody had taken out money from my purse. I'd gone to a part or something. The purse, they took out a whole lot of cash from my purse. So I don't know how they did it. Uh, but when I reached Delhi, I had no money. You know, I realized, oh God, what happened? There's only $1,000. What am I? But I checked into sort of a proper place in Chanakyapuri because we want to visit somebody. So you properly, and no one gave me any money for that. I called these people, but they would not pick up the phone. And anyhow, we scheduled the meeting. And in the evening, I went to Habitat Humanity, and I met him. And other people who I've done projects with also were there, but they did not pay me. Okay, those guys, some weaving project or something they did, and okay, you know. So this one was a project on chickpeas. I had done the full research on chickpea farm, and I said, why don't you do it? Because it helps the soil. It does renewal for the soil. It's money, and it's basically focused for women. So he said he'll see me, and I went with the project. And then these people, I was there, and it was a very good meeting, and he really liked me, and he said, you have a lot of potential, and etc. etc. And but this person followed me all the way to Habitat, and I got a shock to see them there. I wasn't sure. Then he said he wanted to find the way to the wash. I mean, can I explain to you the level of gaslighting and narcissistic behavior that came from this family, right? And then my meeting, of course, got hijacked. So they would hijack my meetings. Not only they would do this, they would make chips, that were of the same number. Then the banking, they would do this mess again. So actually, I have not known people who would stoop to such levels, right? And then our family members were all kind of torn apart. So when they're supposed to pay me, they wouldn't pay me, give it somewhere else. And they said they gave it, or they'll say that the boy ran away, you know all these stories. Basically, the idea was to stop me. So I want to bring this video. I need my house back. You know, if we do, there was the one here in Calcutta. I don't know the status quo of that place, and neither do we want to stay in Kolkata. But we need our money back and our house back. And we have a house in Delhi, so they didn't want to give any papers to us. Nothing they wanted to give. They made some mother, and we do not talk to family members. This maternal family members, I come from a narcissistic household. They're extremely violent. So I do not want both sides. So I don't want their association with me. I really need to clear this rubble. There is no mother, and there is no father, and there is no uh, extra husband. We were harassed by some Tiwari guy who kept saying that he's married. So be married. I mean, but we are not married to me. Me, I've never ever tied a knot with anybody. I'm only the mother of Abhinav. That is it. And then after that, there His Highness Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and it was a very different blessing that we received. And I don't want any more people to bunch with them unnecessarily, because I don't have anything to do with people who come from this Bihari group, whoever. Okay, I made it very clear. I know it sounds a little bad, but you know, I need space and I don't want to be bunched with anybody. Okay. If you're a known person, I can understand to a certain level we have ignored a lot of things. I don't allow any male people in my house when I'm alone here. We have a collapsible gate. I insisted that if you're going to shift into this flat, which really has nothing to do with this enemy group, it's just me and Abhinav, and so we have nothing to do with them. And we don't allow them to come here. They're not allowed to come here. They're not allowed to call me, and they're not allowed to talk to me. Nah, nobody. Just we have kept, because it was very bad the last 5 years. They would just ring the doorbell and just demand the gate to be open. They would take all our things and empty out our car, and uh, then they engaged a CBI officer to do all the dirty work. So I want to explain to you. And then they would give off their things, and whether it was the siblings or them or whoever. I want to bring this to your notice. It is mine. I cannot imagine the level these people felt, in which uh, just take my things and loot my cupboard and distribute my furniture, and there was no restraint. It shows a mental a kind of a mental state of mind which is not normal. When you a person is not saying anything, but I am. It was is a deep. I was deeply pained. You know, very painful it is. You don't show it to anybody, but uh, we had to sustain it. We had to bear it, and we had to find some other avenues, and we had to pursue some other place, and we had to show that we're looking forward. And but what they did from behind is quite horrendous. And I have said in the previous videos about the level they wish to stoop to this deceitfulness, which is gone a bit more than far. So basically, we want to say that we can't do anything till we get a home, and there's 18,000 rupees which is due, apart from all the other things. But this money they need to put back, because you have money to blow up on sandy beaches of Spain. I'm sure it's not difficult to give back my 18,000 rupees. So I spent it for Ranjana, and she has made up the stories that we have kicked her out of her house. Nobody has kicked her out of her house. She has kicked herself out. She came to stay with me in my home in SN Manager Road. Then she made a scene about uh, that she wanted me to agree with her that the mother is enemy. It hardly mattered to me, you know. And I said, I don't want to go there, I don't live with her and it has nothing to do with me. And she had a blue fit, you know. And that blue fit went out of control. And she went down to the neighbors and she said that I have boyfriends. These people are, I don't speak to any neighbors particularly. And they were, it, where we were staying, the person who gave the house on rent was very deeply upset, you know. And thereafter, the home was broken, right? We couldn't stay there anymore. And so we had to leave. And she said that I kicked her out. Now, after doing this display of disgrace, she wanted to come back and take her things. So I just threw it from the window. I shouldn't have done that, but I was so, what else do you want me? I come up to my flat to make a scene. I don't want you coming back here and accusing me that I attacked her. In the last time, she came again to stay with us. Great reluctance. Actually, we didn't want her to come, and we told that we can't take care of her, but still, madam, they just dumped her with her, and they just whatever old food and whatever there was, they just dumped it there, and they ran off to America, and they sold my house. Um, they would take all our money. We did the whole business in the coal. That is my hand work of my hands. And so whoever try to decentralize everything so that we don't get any money and they get a share. I think that was basically they had some idea in mind. However, I am not here to make excuses for others. I am not going to make any excuses. I've had enough and I need my home, right? So we need our money and our home. And whatever payments are due, start paying. Even with the World Vision people, they need to start paying me. I don't care if they've left the job or they're not there or there isn't. These people need to be rounded up and, need to cough up the money because they made use of it, right? And it's over the years that people did a lot of gaslighting and negligence, and they thought it's okay. We don't pay her, we ignore her. She may be depressed. We do not have the MDPPs. Sanjana's one liner is everyone is depressed, according to her. I think she needs to take a check on her own mental health. If people go around finding fault with somebody's emotional stability, and mine is very stable. I have a very routine in my house. You can say I this is how I dress every day in my home, right? And I don't care if somebody's coming or not coming. I don't like to look like a beat up person, and I have, you know clean my room, I make my bed, I do my housework, my son goes to school, and I sit with my work. And then I make my calls or start working. I have my book to finish also, which I found extremely difficult because it meant going back and it was very painful. Just the journey of remembering about how much people were so unkind and so cruel and so mean in the story. So, we had to do a lot of filtering so that we could bring the story in the correct perspective, that we learn to appreciate the kind of work we've done and not talk about negative people in our book, right? If we can talk about it in another way in another time. But the first thing is that people should know the kind of work I did. I started this movement for social change, and I started the work for community development, and it was focused for development of women. And when you do for the community, automatically you help the whole society, right? Because people are hung up on work with women, work with women. That's what you need to know is that if you do help the community at large, child is educated, whatever angle you do, a woman is helped, right? And we did do the language for women, and I did these economic projects. Which I did was for jobs, which is really poetry coffee conversation, and it was also a website concept for making jobs, so everybody creates jobs, people uh, in in the place where they're working, and so that everybody has some money. People are not stranded in the middle of nowhere, and that helped me later on, right? So I mean, I did work for dairy farming, and I've focused at buffalo milk. Those guys haven't paid me. um, and so what I felt was more important is that I need my home first. And it would take just two lines from anybody who knows where it is, from anybody, uh, where the house is. Just write me two lines. I do not want to receive any communication from Russell Street, flat 4C, and neither will I receive any. They have nothing to do with me, Calcutta Samaritan. So if they have my papers and documents, they need to send it or hand it over or send an address or something. I don't know how we're going to solve this story, but we don't want to have any reconnection with them. I really don't want to, because I've had too much problem with them. Even with the ex-in-laws, they were also the sort of like bellows for this fire of distress that I faced. They would just whack on my business and they would ruin the business and walk away, and they kept doing it, you know, over a period of time until finally I really had to make it a public thing that you need to stop. I am not there for their fungus restaurants, fungus function, whatever it may be. I am not there for that. I am not party to them, and they are nothing to do with me, and they cannot make those claims. And end of story. The only person that really stood with me at that time was my son and his father, whatever. But in the long journey, everybody has their own road. He's a married person, so he has to get on with his life. And I need my house, and I need to get on with mine. And Binzu will live with me because I'm his mother, and if he wants to continue staying, whatever, that is his option. We need to think about those. Those are my personal choices, and options is nothing to do with anybody. I'm making it clear because I need people to understand clearly that I am sick and tired of what we call in Kerala sodikali. You go left and the other person will turn right, and then it's a game. So these games must come to an end. So I appreciate very much the support I got from Middle East with that. I could not do anything during this issue because we didn't have a home, and that was more important to me than what happened in the Gaza Strip. I'm very much saddened by what has happened. I express my distress and dismay, but I think I was, really, this would have been avoided. The situation would have been avoided had we had our home, and had people not sold our house, and also all the things that this TIL Jindal family were involved. Fortunately, I have to say it. I could watch my window in that Ripon Rimi building. We hate the name now, and none of us like that place. Actually, we just stayed there as a stability because we needed a place to jump off, and we were thinking. There was a lot of sarcastic comments. She wants a big house. I don't care. I'm very happy where we are now. It's just two-room house. We're always happy within our means, and we've always lived within our means. You know, $20 or $30 or $50 or whatever it was, um, but we manage within those means, right? And the 18,000 rupees is because we need that money because we have an outstanding to pay for the lazy pay, and that simple pay has to be paid. And I cannot, my money, which is meant somebody helped us with 5,000 rupees every month, that's 3 months, and I just can't spend it. We've just shifted into this place. I don't even have a washing machine, and they expect me to save money with 5,000, and I'm overspending and all these funny stories. And we do not have anything to do with Smita Joshipura. Please, she is nobody in my NGO. Nobody. Even if a person did help us, they do not have any settler rights or legal rights or anything to do with our social work. Neither does Derek O'Brien, neither this family, nor any family member except myself. They cannot sign any documents, and then we had some problem with the PAN card was not active. They have sold my PAN card houses. I don't know what was in their head. There's a God of justice in the story. He will deal with people like that. I'm not waiting to take revenge. I've learned to overlook those things, and forgive myself for believing such people. I honestly was not aware, what was going on behind my back. So today, I just make this video, and I'm not happy making it. I'm not happy at all because big grown adults who are supposed to be responsible people and officers, government officers, whoever they may be, simply didn't ever have any or leadership or any kind, any sense of integrity whatsoever. You know, that has to be, and also using psychology as a weapon, trying to make me look mental. Now, I will just talk about this. That people create a situation, they will create a mental story. There isn't anyone, and there never been a state of psychotic or behavior or maniac behavior at all, but it is created. And people who only talk about other people's mental or try to create the stories themselves have very serious issues, right? So the what is I have said previously in my videos that the most important thing in life is to find yourself. And if you're consumed with, the good things of life, of being alone, of creativity is the door out. And I've always found that very, uh, very pleasurable, is that, and joyous also, is that whenever I'm doing something creative, or I'm searching for something, or I'm developing something, it has always been very, very positive, and joyous for me. And that pleasure that I get of creating something or making something is more than money or wealth or relationships or whatever people may say to me. That has been a state of expression to me as a person. So we're not interested in any kind of political embargoes or position or place. What we want is a stable life, normal life, our own home, and to build on that. And there's some personal things that I like to do, which I would like to do. And I would do it for me, I would do it for anybody. I'm not making any cake for anyone. I baked a cake for Abhinav and Nelson because Nelson loves to eat cake, and also because he really was supportive. And whenever my son goes to his house, I don't like my child to go empty handed. So I baked a cake, you know. And so that, Binzu's sense of self worth is extremely important. And the way people ran me to the ground, the child, impression of his mother, is very bad for him. You know, when you lower a parent in public and you make her look like redundant under the whole world, and one of these very famous one, I'm feeling so bad for her, and I'm just trying and I'm just praying for her. All these statements, please throw it out of the window. Anyone who is supportive never talks like that. I have been in lots of places, and the response is always very different. If a person really believes in you, they're never going to say, "Okay, I've been praying for you and I really feel bad about you." Nobody talks like that. Nobody. They're right there. And you know that in this present crisis, in the world crisis, that if anybody really came alongside, they didn't ever speak in this sort of "I feel sorry for you" language. Nobody talks like that. And so I wanted to bring this to your notice, that a healthy mind does not ever speak in a condescending manner, like, if this language is, "You fell off the tree but I still like you and I'm still praying for you, but you fell off the tree." you know no. First of all, we've never fallen off any tree. And first of all, we're very stable. And most of all, we have really grounded in our work. We have a very, very focused, stable 10, 15 years, 20 years of social development and committed causes, and rescue of child, and street work, and street rescue, and working with Pentecostal groups, which are Holy Spirit groups, and having that kind of network of people who have really stood by, built with us. And we have friends who know me from before. I mean, who know me as a mother, and who have known my background and know my now parents, who are how vicious that group was with her. So you need to really convince a lot of people. Imagine the level they wish they stood was to get hold of any ex-student who never was in my class, who's several years senior to me and would know ABCD of me. They told a different story to them. Whereas in school, I was extremely very forthright, and that they would take my paper. There's a very nice handwritten paper written by my principal, which was very good appraisal, and the appraisal can't be found. Appraisal was missing, documents would go missing, papers would not be found. There was a letter from my father that was removed and snatched. Uh, if anybody from there was a lady in waiting from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the late Queen, they would not let me talk to her. She said, "I'm going to bed," and she would not let me speak to her at all. We had some conversation which we were going somewhere with it, and which interrupted the next day. That was the end. This is how narcissistic people behave. They are on a binge to destroy, and what they do is, I've understood one thing: you can never destroy a positive person. You can't. The narcissistic people burn their own bridges. They have nothing to go back to. And one of the most powerful things is to ignore them. And we've done it. I just totally don't, they don't exist for me. And ignoring has been extremely powerful for me as a person, personally, in my development. Is that I decided that never to talk about, because in our house we don't speak about them at all. We won't even mention their name. They don't exist for us. And it has been very, very healing and very helpful for us as a family, and it has bonded us even more closer in a situation, in a household where we have a home. And I've learned something. People are, if somebody is dishonest in any situation, they are duty bound to respond to that dishonesty. But I have, you know prayed for every situation. And by the prayer, they thought this prayer they can use it, on their benefit. It kind of backfired. And I need my home, a place to live. And if there isn't, then I need the money so that I can buy my own place. That was what we asked for, and that my husband's things and my money, and he cannot go to anybody. There's no mother, and she cannot sign as daughter. Please address that issue. I humbly expect. I can't stand them. First of all, I can't stand her. I can't stand their whole community. And that what I can't stand is that manipulative, controlling behavior. Narcissist came from Ranjana, and then it kind of wants to control everything and feel powerful, and that issue we need to address. And right now they wanted to trap me in this lazy pay story, so I am going to address that. And they would use a person who's close to me, and kind of like push him in that corner. So, but he needs money all the time, and he's retired. I don't know. And he wanted to stop me also, but he helped also at the same time. I mean, there are people who have this duality in their nature. However, I want to bring this to a notice that I need the house first, and I need that papers or documents to be scanned and sent, and people need to reply to my emails. Okay, thank you, and have a great day.